Hi guys, welcome back to Algebra 1/2. We are on lesson 50 today, fractional part of a number and fractional equations. So let's talk about what fractions are. Again, remember what they are? They're parts of a whole. So if I have this whole rectangle right here, and I wanted to divide it into 5 equal parts, each part is 1/5 of my whole. If I color in 2 of those parts, I've just colored in 2/5 of my whole. So the fraction that I've colored in would be 2/5. But let's say that my whole actually represents more than just one thing. My whole actually represents, for example, 150. It's my whole number. It's the total number, 250. So what would each of these parts, each of these 1/5 represent? How much of 150? Well, I've divided it equally into 5 parts. So I'm dividing my 150 equally into 5 parts. So 150 divided by 5 is 30. So each of these 5 parts would be 30 of my whole. Well, if I have 2/5 of my whole, I have 2 of those 30 parts. So that would be 30 plus 30, which would be 60. So really, I have 2 times each part, 2 times each of my 1/5. So the way that I could find if I wanted 2 parts of my whole, then I would just multiply my fraction times my whole. 2/5 times 150. That gives me 60 because it's 2/5 of 150, and that will give me 60. Again, notice how I read that, 2/5 of 150. We use this to create a formula. The formula is this over here. F times of equals is, okay? F is a fraction, so it means the fraction times of, so of what number? So the number that you're finding the fraction of is. So what does that number equal? So the fraction times a number is what number? We can easily find any of these 3 parts as long as we know the other 2 by using this fraction, or excuse me, this equation. So let's start with this example. What fraction of 75 is 25? Well, let's start by writing the fraction, or I don't know why I keep saying fraction. Let's start by writing the equation. F, times of equals is. So do I know the fraction? Let's find it in my problem. It says what fraction? So nope, I'm looking for that. So that's going to be my variable. Of 75. Also, this is also a hint for you. Anytime you see the word of, it means multiply. So I have my fraction times 75. Let me get the right marker here, excuse me. So that's the number that would go here for of. Is, and anytime you see is, that means equals. So here's our equation coming to life in our problem, 25. So my is number right here. So I put those into my equation. The fraction, that's what I'm looking for. So my fraction times 75 equals 25. How do I solve this? Well, I want to get f by itself to find the fraction. So since I'm multiplying f times 75, to get rid of it, I do the opposite and divide. Whatever I do to one side, I do to the other. So the fraction equals 25 over 75, which can be reduced to 1/3. So 1/3 of 75 is 25. I would check that by multiplying 1/3 times 75 and making sure that I get 25 as my final answer. All right, let's try another one. 5/7 of what number is 5 over 2? Okay, so I have of and is right here. I have my fraction, 5/7 of what number? Okay, this is going to be my variable because I don't know yet what that is or equals 5 over 2. All right, let's put that into my equation. My fraction times of equals is. It's always good to start by writing the equation to make sure you know where you're putting each piece. So 5/7 times, I'm going to use n for the number, so I don't have to keep writing of, equals 5 over 2. So to find that out, I have to do the opposite of what I'm doing to n. I'm multiplying 5/7 times n, so I need to divide 5/7. To divide, I flip-flop and multiply. So I flip-flop to make it 7 over 5, multiply both sides by 7 over 5. Over here, everything cancels. Over here, my 5's cancel, but not my 7 and my 2. So I get n equals 1 times 7 is 7, 2 times 1 is 2, 7 over 2. All right, let's try one more example. 5/7 of 5 over 2 is what number? So I have 5/7 times 5 over 2 equals what number? F times of equals is. 5/7 times 5 over 2. So notice that, by the way, the fraction, that is not necessarily the only fraction in your problem. Is what number? I don't have to flip-flop or do anything. I can just straight up multiply. 5 times 5 is 25. 7 times 2 is 14. So 25 over 14 equals n. And there you go. That's your final answer. Okay? All right, go ahead and try your practice now. Okay, you should be back with your answers for letters A, B, and C on page 145. If not, make sure you pause your video before continuing on for the answers. Letter A says, what fraction of 20 is 140? If you write it as a fraction, you get 7 over 1. Or you could have just written 7. It's really the same thing. Because it was F times 20 equals 140. Divide both sides by 20 and you get 7. Letter B, 7/5 of what number is 3/8? So that's 7 over 5 times n equals 3/8. Divide both sides by 7 over 5, meaning multiply both sides by 5 over 7, which gives you 15 over 56. Letter C, 5/13 of 26 is what number? So that's 5/13 times 26 equals n. What number? So I have 5/13 times 26, the 13 and 26 cancel, so you end up with 10 as your number. All right, let me know if you have any questions about this concept. I'm happy to help. All right, have a wonderful day. Bye.